And welcome back to the Health No Filter. My name's Tristan Lowe, and here we are now mid-September 2025. I think we're on episode 104 today. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see in the thumbnail of the video, train your back, okay? The point of today's short discussion is to train your back. Now, in terms of exercise for the upper back, the lower back, the mid back, that's a very broad subject matter, and it would take quite some time. But for the purpose of speed and agility and quickness, okay, we're just going to touch on it. Why should men, and women as well, but we're talking men, why should men train their backs? Well, the back is a huge group of muscles, okay? It's possibly, I would say, alongside the glutes and the quadriceps, the biggest group of muscles in the body. So by physiological definition, okay, the back is such a long, broad muscle group. It's split between left and right, from the back of your shoulders all the way down to the lower back or the hips. When you train your back, strength training, you should almost, not every time, but almost be out of breath or at least have an elevated heart rate. And the reason being, it requires so much oxygen to get to those big muscles in the back, once you go over your shoulders into the trapezius or the lats, or the proper term latissimus dorsi, but we know as the lats or the wings. You've got the rhomboids in between, those muscles around the shoulder blades and the scapulas, all the way down, to the erector spinae, the erector muscles, those muscles that sit at the base of your spine, either side of your spine at the bottom there. So again, you've got those big broad lats, the latissimus dorsi, and developed lats will give you the V-shaped taper, the V-shape, okay, or at the very least straight and narrow. And of course, you think about it, when you've got if you've got a small muscle group like the bicep, or relatively small, excuse me, like the bicep or the calf muscle, those muscles are small compared to the back, all right. And when you train them, they're essentially single joint movements, a calf raise, whether it's a standing calf raise or a static calf raise, you're not moving anywhere. A bicep curl, you don't really go anywhere. It's a small muscle group. It won't really get you exhausted and out of breath. You'll tire, but it won't challenge the nervous system in the same way that training your back will. So let's look at it. Why? The back is essentially part of your body's chassis. If you think about it, the posterior chain, that's from the back of the shoulders all the way down to let's say the calves. That's your back, your glutes, your hamstrings, and to a degree your calves as well. The posterior chain. It's the back of your body, the chassis of your body. It's what keeps us upright, alongside the skeletal frame. Now the back also is there to primarily row. It's a pulling group of muscles. Yeah. If you were to pull furniture across a room, it's a lot easier than it is to press furniture away with your shoulders and chest. So the back not only is a big, long, broad group of muscles, they're not only a part of our chassis, they have got a function, and the function is to pull your body from A to B, or pull an object from A to B, okay? Essentially, resistance training, different parts. Now, if we think about different ways of training a back, if you were to go into a conventional bodybuilding gym, you would see platforms with the T-bar rows where the gentleman, the guy climbs on top of this mini platform or step, and he puts his body over a plate. Sometimes the plate will be supported with a bit of rubber or plastic or something, otherwise it will just be raw metal. And they are essentially facing the floor at approximately 45 degrees, or maybe less. And there's a bar that's affixed to another bar that angles off the floor. And they grab that bar, nice wide grip, and they pull the bar towards the chest plate, which they're lying face down on. In some way, it's isolating technique. It's going to work the upper back and the rear shoulders, to a slight degree the arms as well. You would see that in bodybuilding gyms, or at the very least in big gyms with a huge amount of equipment in. But ordinarily, bodybuilding gyms or your sort of 80s and 90s strength gyms, you don't get many face down T-bar row machines in modern health clubs, okay? And the reason being, most people might not use it. What you do see are seated back machines now, where you sit down at 90 degree hip flexion, and the same with the knee, and you have the plate that sits on your chest, and you put your arms forward and you grab the handles and you pull a weight, and you decide which weight you're going to pull. There could be pins at the side, which you change the pin and you increase the amount of weight by going down the stack, or more often than not now, it will have unilateral, sometimes almost single arm versions where they've got the barbell, the weight plate pins where you stick your weight plates on as well. So often it's bilateral, and I'm seeing more and more often now unilateral machines, okay, to work the back. I think they're quite safe as well, as long as you keep your chest pinned against the pad in front to support you while your arms go out in front, and not pull your neck back, not try and put too much weight on. Okay, so T-bar rows, seated machine rows, the lat pull down, it's the bastion of back machine exercises as far as I'm concerned. I don't spend my life on them, but a lat pull down, a cable machine, you'll sit again, sat again, you put a plate or the pins, quite often it's the pins, you scroll down, go further down, and you get a heavier weight. Now, the advantage with a lat pull down is it won't challenge your nervous system like a deadlift or a pull-up will, but it really will develop the strength and at some point the aesthetics, the way your back looks. It will really give you a good set of rear shoulders and upper back muscles, to a slight degree the lower back muscles as well. You can have an overhand, pronated grip, an underhand supinated grip, wide grip, mid grip or narrow grip. If you go narrow grip underhand, it's going to incorporate the biceps as well, perhaps a little bit of rhomboid. But generally when you see people on a lat pull down, they've got a wide grip and they're looking forward or they're looking up. Now, I wouldn't suggest if you're a beginner to do the lat pull down machine on the cable machine behind the neck. I'm not going to suggest also that it's dangerous for anyone out there. Personally myself, I don't actually do behind my neck anymore. I did that in my 20s and I don't do it in my 50s. I pull in front, okay? If you're young and you've got good range of movement, good flexibility, and you've got a weight that you can handle safely, behind the neck is okay, but you have to be careful. You don't want to get a neck injury or a spinal injury. I would certainly suggest put it at the front. Okay, so we've looked at a couple of machines for your back. I think the two best back exercises would be a deadlift, either a stiff leg deadlift or a whole body, full body deadlift, where you are essentially squatting towards the ground and picking up a barbell or a trap bar or dumbbells and coming straight back up again. I deadlift light, or certainly lighter than I did in my 30s. I'll take a barbell and put 20 kilos either side. I like to do stiff leg deadlifts where your knees are just very, very slightly soft and you go into a good, strong, flat back, hip hinging technique. A stiff leg deadlift, once we've sort of mastered it, or not perfected it, once we've got competent at a stiff leg deadlift, you can actually raise up the weights, the resistance, quite quickly because it incorporates so much muscle, including the hamstring and the glute, and of course the upper back and rear shoulders. The next one will be pull-ups. Now, you don't often see people doing pull-ups in gyms anymore, and yet it could have loads of those machines where it's got pull-up bars. And the reason being is because they're very, very hard. They're a hard exercise to do. A raw pull-up, overhand grip, chin up, underhand grip, neutral grip. Personally, I prefer the neutral grip now because it puts less strain on my elbow joint, or I feel like it does, and also it incorporates my biceps as well. But generally, overhand, underhand, or neutral grip on the pull-up. Wide grip if you can, okay, otherwise go to narrow grip or mid grip. The web of your palm ideally in line with the armpit. But if you're strong enough, good technique, go wide grip. Pull-ups are hard. They take a while to start. Now, what we find is if you've got a beginner in the gym or a beginner as a personal training client, the last thing they can do is a pull-up. They'll squat and bench press and lunge and do an abdominal crunch before they can do a pull-up. And the reason being, it's the entire load of your body weight. And if you're walking in and you're unfit at 200 pounds, you've got low to zero chance of performing one full range of movement pull-up. So what we do, we get the back strong and we use TRX suspension training straps. TRX straps are very, very good for back exercises. You can go both hands or one, you can go two straps or one, and they don't take a lot of time to set up. Once they're in the frame, in the TRX frame, or they're on the X mount on the wall, all you've got to do is adjust them, the straps where you need to stand, and start. It's a very, very good way for men and women to start doing a pulling exercise where they're moving their body weight from A to B without having to pull the whole body. Once you get good at TRX back rows, you switch to single arm back rows. Now you can then go to assisted pull-ups. Now we do still see assisted pull-up machines in gyms, We don't just see them in bodybuilding gyms. You do see them in a lot of modern, these low budget gyms on £25, £30 a month, right up into your expensive gyms at £150, £200 a month, just to be a member there. We do see them. I don't often see people on them as well. And it's not because they're particularly hard, because again, you've got that stack of pin weight that acts as a counterbalance. And this time, the pad goes underneath your knees. You're essentially in a kneeling position on a padded platform. You want to put the pin quite far down on the weight stack. I don't know, depending on your weight. If you're 200 pounds, you're probably going to have to take at least 30 kilos to 40 kilos off your body weight in order for you to safely and perform overhand or underhand chin-ups or pull-ups on the assisted machine, and work at it. And each week you select less counterweight, so you're essentially pulling more weight as well, until one day you can do one of those without any counterbalance weight to help you. Then you switch to raw pull-ups, and you may find you can't do one, in which case now we go to resistance bands. Put the band around the frame safely, make sure it's a strong band around your knee or below the foot, whatever makes you feel comfortable and is safe, and you start your pull-ups like that. The resistance band is helping you perform that pull-up. It's a great feeling to be able to do one pull-up raw. And of course, when I say one pull-up raw, I mean pulling yourself from a hanging position, and you concentrically pull yourself to the top until your chin, depending on who you are, or your chest gets parallel with the bar. Your chin's enough, and then you eccentrically lower yourself back down to a starting position with no counterbalance and no resistance bands. Congratulations, Dave, Steve, Tom, wherever you are. You've just now performed a full-blown pull-up. Okay, we talked about strength and function, and that the back is there to pull objects or pull yourself from A to B. Let's talk about aesthetics, how our body looks. If you've got excess fatty tissue around the back, back fat as they call it, I call it excess fatty tissue, and it's around the shoulder blades, and it's around underneath your arms toward where your lats are, and going down into your hips as well. Not only is it unhealthy, it can be very unsightly for a man as well, because it gives the eye, it tells the person, not the person with the back fat, that other people, that this person, this man, has not looked after his health. He's got so much excess fat on his body, not just the face or the belly or the waist. Now his waist and upper back is covered in excess fat. Okay, there could be a strong frame underneath there. So the key is to get rid of excess fat by training. Okay, now once they get rid of excess fatty tissue around the body, around the back, from the hips all the way up to the rear shoulders, you're going to go from a shape like that. Okay, they're narrow at the top and they get wider and wider at the waist, which is not only unhealthy, it's unsightly. They'll get to a shape where it's almost like an H, and then eventually the top will widen out. The tips of your shoulders down to your waist will widen out, and it will look better. It won't just feel better, it will look better when you're dressed in fitted clothing. It'll look better when you're training. It'll look better when you can check yourself out in the mirror, if you can rotate around and look how your back muscles are coming on. There's no reason to have a weak back. There's no reason to have excess fatty tissue and have back fat. Yeah, you don't need it, so why carry it? You're just carrying excess weight on the posterior chain on your back. So aesthetics, yeah, what you could do as well, it will give you a wider shape and it will make you look bigger, but you could actually be anything between 10 to 50 pounds lighter, but you could look bigger up top. It's because now what you've got rid of fat and what you've got left is muscle. Yeah, you've left yourself with a more muscular frame. There's a reason why a lot of young lads, let's say age 16 and up, when they join a gym, once they gravitate to the strength area, they spend a lot of time facing the mirror, doing their biceps or doing their chest or the front of their shoulders. And there's two reasons for that. One, it's the muscle they can see it in the mirror, the chest, the front shoulders, the biceps and the abdominals. And because they can see them clearly, they're the ones that they're going to train. And for the other reason is, that's the muscle group that other people see first. Now, if you overtrain your anterior chain, the chest, the front shoulders, the biceps, the abdominals, but you undertrain your back, you're going to end up with poor posture, or even worse, musculoskeletal disorder or injury, and it's going to curtail your training. So if you trained, you should train your back muscles more than you train your chest and arms. So young guys out there, hit your back first, then do your chest, shoulders and biceps after. If you're training 1 day a week, strength training, do your pull-ups, do your deadlifts, do your seated rows, your TRX rows, your bent over dumbbell barbell rows first. Get those out of the way early. Yeah, there's more muscle there, it takes longer for you to actually develop it. So hit those early. All right, now. And finally, okay, if you train your back, it will give you strength in the front of your body as well. So an example, if you're doing a barbell bench press, flat, decline, incline, and you start with the barbell, what do they weigh, 20, 25 kilos? And eventually you start stacking the weights. As you bring that bar down towards your chest, your upper back, even though you're lying on it on a bench, is going to at the very least stabilize, okay, and at best contract. Essentially it's the set of brakes that you've got. As that barbell comes to your chest on the bench press, your upper back muscles they're working with you, okay? They're not going through a workout, they're stabilizing, okay? They're essentially fanning out and stabilizing for you so that bar, doesn't collapse down on you. It's not just your chest strength. You know, even press-ups are good for back exercises because your back muscles are incorporated even though you're not pulling with them, because they have to stabilize and help protect the spine. Remember, what is the purpose of the spine? To wrap around it and protect the spinal cord. So the spinal cord, the spine goes around it, and around that is a group of muscles, okay, from just above the sternum all the way down to the pelvis and all the way around. You would call it the core. Yeah, it'll give you a stronger core. All right, train your back. Don't waste time doing sit-ups and bicep curls and spending too much time on cross trainers or treadmills. That's great if you need to become cardiovascular fitter, and there's plenty of benefits to that. But for today, we're just talking about your back. Girls, women, you should train your back as well. Remember, you would be what they call new or newbie to back exercising. Melissa, Carol, Karen, Cindy, wherever you are. And your back muscles could develop. As a professional personal trainer, at least on 2 occasions, I've trained women in their late 20s to early 30s and both the women I'm thinking of were both getting married. They were both getting their bodies in great shape for their big day. Well done, ladies. And on both occasions, their upper back muscles developed really quickly. I think one of them was around the age of 29 at the time. One may have been 31. And they were feminine women, you know, they were girly women. They weren't just women bodybuilders or women rugby players. You know, I think one was a hairdresser and one was a beauty therapist, and they were both getting married. I trained one of their husbands as well. So, and I can remember on both these women, their upper back and rear shoulders got developed almost too quickly. So we had to slow it down and go back to the upper legs and the abdominals. So it just goes to show, even women, your upper back muscles can develop really quickly. Not as quick as a man's, and we know that, but you know, fast enough for you to actually notice it. So don't spend all day, women, on it. You know, if you do yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi or stretching, something like that, that's great. It's going to give you suppleness, mobility, flexibility. But in order for strength train, not like a man, okay, because you're not going to lift the same weights, but what you can do is the same movements to some degree. Safety being paramount first. All right, that's it. Today's subject matter was the back. Just touched on it really. It's a lot more broader subject than that. Yeah, stand tall, put your back into it, keep your body in great shape, gents. Yeah, it's for you first, for your health and fitness, and your good, your a quality future in your body. Okay, and secondly, it's for other people, the wife, the girlfriend, the fiance, or even the lads in the gym that want to come and check out your muscularity. Yeah, don't overtrain your front, work on the back. My name's Tristan Lowe. I'm a professional personal trainer and sports massage therapist. I've been training a long time. I look after a lot of clients. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast and Amazon Music. The channel is Health No Filter. If you've got a question, please feel free to pop it to me. I'll do my best to answer. I think it's episode 105. Don't know. Right, that's it. Until the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.